lovelies. Thank you for being here. God is speaking to you. You might be thinking, I know God is speaking to me, but I'm just not sure how to hear Him. Or maybe you are wondering, is it really possible to hear God's voice? The answer to both of those questions is a resounding yes. And in this video, I am going to show you how to hear and recognize the voice of God. I'll start by discussing the different ways God speaks to us. Then, we'll give you some practical tips on how to start listening to His voice. I'll also share with you some powerful stories of people who have heard and responded to the voice of God.
But that will be a bonus tip if you stay to the end.
Understanding how God communicates can help us better listen to His voice. He often speaks to us through our intuition, feelings, and dreams. But He can also speak through others, nature, and even circumstances. The key is to be open to hearing from Him and recognize Him when He's trying to communicate with you. When you start to pay attention, you will be amazed at how frequently God speaks to you. Tips to recognizing God's voice. 1 is learning to recognizing God's voice. This can be tricky because it's not always easy to discern His voice from our own thoughts and feelings. We need to learn to quiet the noise of the world and focus on His word.
In order to learn to quiet the noise of the world, be willing to listen.
Too often, we go into conversation with God thinking we already know the answer. Why not try to relax and simply listen to what He has to say? One way to do this is by spending time in prayer and meditation. This allows us to clear our mind and focus on what God is saying to us. We can also look for scriptures that speaks to our current situations. Learning to listen to God takes time and practice, but it is worth it. When you start tuning into His voice, you will be amazed at how He speaks to you through His word, through people, and through nature. Once we have recognized God's voice, we need to listen, not just keeping our head to the answers or what we want to hear Him say. We need to be able to follow His guidance, even if He leads us down the difficult path. You might be wondering, how can I develop my listening skills? Don't worry, it is not as difficult as you think. Here are a few things that can help you to learn to listen to God. Get rid of distraction. This means turning off your phone, silencing your email notification, and anything else that might make noise and pull your attention away from God. Be still, and it is important to take some time each day to sit quietly and just be still. This will help you focus on God and hear His voice more easily. Pray, and as you pray, ask God to help you hear His voice more clearly. He will answer your prayers and give you the guidance you need. Tip 2 to recognizing God's voice is to be patient. God speaks to us in different ways, and sometimes it takes time for us to recognize and understand what He is saying. Just keep listening and be open to His guidance in your life. Just learn to understand His communication method. There are different ways to hear from God, and it's not always easy to be open to understand that there are different ways to hearing from God, because we are creatures of habits and we often like to stick with what we know. But God is constantly speaking to us in a million different ways. For some people, it might mean a still small voice inside their head. For others, it might just be a gut feeling or an intuition. Some people see visions or image in their mind's eye. Others might hear God's voice as an audible whisper. The important thing is to be open to all of these ways of hearing from God. As long as we are honest and humble, God will always find a way to communicate with us. If you are still doubtful about hearing from God, then ask him to give you a sign. He might not do this in a way you expect. Once you are sure it is God, all you have to do is pay attention and listen and follow his instruction. It sounds simple, right? But I know it might not be easy, but it is worth it. Take it one step at a time and don't be afraid to ask for help from another believer. We're all in this together and we all need to learn to listen to God's voice. We're all in this together and we all need to learn to listen to God's voice. Here are some practical ways you can tune in and start hearing God's voice for yourself. Spend time in nature. One of the best ways to connect with God is to spend time in nature. When you are surrounded by his creation, it's easy to hear his voice. Another way is to be still and quiet your mind. In our busy lives, it might be difficult to find time to just be still. But it is important to quiet your mind and allow yourself to be open to listening and hearing God's voice. Try meditation or spending time in prayer. Another way to tune into God's voice is to pay attention to the signs around you. If you are wondering if you should take a certain path in life, pay attention to the coincidence. If you pay attention to the coincidence and the synchronicities that pops up along the way, this could be sign that God is leading you in a certain direction. Have you heard or have you been hearing from God? You can share that with me on the comment section below. I'd love to hear your story. Here is the bonus tip I promised to share with you about powerful stories of people who have heard and responded to God's voice. There are a lot of them, honestly, but I'll share with you 3 stories that have inspired me. Number 1 is Moses, when he was in the burning bush and God called out to him. You can find that story in Exodus 3 verse 4 to 8. Secondly, Daniel. Daniel was a character who always prays to God and God hears him or answers him. Also read Daniel 10 verse 12. My third and final character is Neil Donald Walsh, an American author. He wrote the book Conversation with God. Okay, I'll leave a link in the description below so that you can check out these stories yourself. Thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. Bye.